The foundation of anything in life is critical. We're going to learn from an expert here about how that is so true. Stay tuned, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to Your Little Castle Show. Scott and I think we have saved the world over the last hour. We've been discussing life and our planet and everything that there is that goes into that. But ultimately, we're all just trying to find a way to help contribute on this little planet. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, if more people would just do things to help each other, we'd all be in a better place.
And what I think that a lot of people don't understand, tell me if you agree with this. When you help other people, your life gets better. I think a lot of people get concerned, why should I help somebody else? Because it's just doing something for them. No, it's called karma, and the whole thing works into a bigger thing.
Yeah, like a guy told me once, you'll get out of it what you put into it.
And if you're only focused on your own personal stuff, which is fine, you should first take it responsible for yourself. But if you can then go beyond that to help other people, and when that help other people, the good karma thing comes back around.
Oh, definitely.
Because people talk about you and say that person helped other people and does things, and it's just that's the way the world works.
Oh, definitely.
All right, everybody. Quick shout out, Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. We've got our new castle here. We're switching and moving cameras around here because we like to always highlight. I got two of our high def ones here. I'll show you those here in a second. But Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. See what I did there, Scott? His slogan is, you like nice things, and I say, in your little castle. That's what they're doing. The best furniture.
Yeah, I like that.
And then you must have a great foundation, which is what we're going to get into in a second. But if you have a house, you likely are the next thing is once you've got a place to live, the long-term plan is how do you provide for yourself? How do you start saving money away? How do you end up putting things in a safe place? Gold has literally become one of the best. I didn't realize this until finally somebody said, hey, do you realize how gold has performed with regard compared to the stock market? And I looked it up. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's actually outperformed the S&P. Which
really?
They set that as the standard. And I saw a contest. I'm going to go on a little diatribe here real quick. But Patrick Bet-David, one of the best known financial gurus, check him out, infotainment, world famous now, said, he did the contest, or he was talking about somebody who did the contest, but they had a contest to any investment expert, mutual fund manager, some of the top guys in the world. They said, if anybody can beat the S&P over a 12-month time frame, I believe is what they said, $1 million to you. Guess how many of those investment experts actually beat the S&P?
I wouldn't have a clue.
Nobody. Nobody beat the S&P because they argue that you can just buy the index. I don't know if you're familiar with that world of the investment side of stuff.
No.
One of my little caveats, I'm not good at much, but my dad kind of introduced me to that because of my coma. I was hit by a drunk driver and had to learn a little bit about investments, and I got a little money coming, and I spent it. But spent it on good things. My mom's like, you didn't just blow it. You spent it on the things that help turn you into what you do today. Computers. I bought a $4,000 computer. It was a Pentium 90. Whoa. With 8 megabytes of RAM, not gigabytes. So, but there we are. But I learned that if you invest properly and well, the S&P, by now you can just buy the index. And people say, why would you spend all this money paying it getting overcharged? Love my investment buddies. You guys, some good friends. Sometimes, I'm not getting into specifics on that. I know what they say and whatever, a little bit and whatever. Take your best shot, get a good investment person. But you can buy the S&P. Guess what? You can also buy gold. Why don't they sell gold? Why don't the investment guys recommend gold? Because they don't get pay no commission on buying a commodity. So you can just buy it for a lot less cost, and go look it up, everybody. Our shout out there to My Metal Pro. Go to goldcowboy.com to get more information, and you might double your knowledge. I got our Cardinal Cowboy logo. We turned it into the Gold Cowboy there, and but check it out. You can get more information by going to goldcowboy.com. And find some information from but I just met with Curtis for lunch, and we're having a big convention here in St. Louis. It's going to be fun. All right, well, with that, now we want to talk about our guest here. Got to have the sponsors, got to have those people that are doing. There's Curtis on the wall. I'll let that picture go up there. There's Curtis, one of the top leaders in the whole world about what they're doing there. But switch over here. I was pressing the wrong button, but let's go over here. Great looking fan page. Water is so fundamental to our planet. But as with regard to that, you have to keep it in order, especially when we're talking about houses, right?
Yeah.
If a house has a bunch of water coming in through the foundation, that is bad.
Oh yeah, but it's also good because that's what keeps us in business.
Yeah, so I was talking to you earlier. We had a long introduction here, everybody. But literally, I mean, waterproofing is yeah. If there's no problem, if all the problems for water foundation repair got fixed, then Scott may have to find another line of work.
Yes.
But,
yes.
But why is it that I'm jumping ahead here? Because why is it that a cement foundation, and I know some of the ideas, I think, but I'm not the expert. Tree trunks, the roots come up. What are the causes? This foundation is cement. How could it fail 2, 3, 5, 10 years later?
Well, concrete is not waterproof.
It's actually porous. Yeah.
It's porous, so it can either allow water to come through it or moisture to come through it. And the biggest thing with water takes the path of least resistance. I mean, it's proven.
Oh, ever drop off a glass of water, it'll show you where the path is. Right?
Water flows downhill. It's not going to run up. So waterproofing can be looked at in a couple different ways. Either A, stop it from coming in, or B, control it where you want it to go.
Yeah. And so if you have a foundation that is leaking water, you've got a problem. And we talked about it quickly jumping here. You are greatly depreciating, as long as you allow that to continue. The value of your home is depreciating dramatically. So you're going to try to sell that house. They're going to hit you for $20,000, $30,000 below what you could have sold it if you had a foundation that wasn't.
Yes, almost every realtor that I've talked to says they would prefer that you fix your house before you sell it, because let's just say it's going to cost $20,000. If somebody gives you a bid for $20,000 to repair it, and if you repair it, spend the $20,000, you get $150,000 for your house. Okay, now you think, okay, well, if I can sell it for $150,000, I can subtract $120,000 and I can get $130,000 for it, right?
Yep.
Well, in all actuality, you're going to end up subtracting probably $50,000. You're going to get $100,000 for it versus the $130,000.
Yeah.
So
fix that repair, because they're not going to just take the cost. They're going to be the overhead, and they'll deal with that stuff yourself. That's why a lot of people do. That's where house flippers come in, right? A lot of times they're saying they know that house is dilapidated. You don't want to spend any time, but they're going to go in and make that profit by fixing it up and then selling it. Why don't you do that yourself, you're saying?
Yeah.
Especially with the foundation.
Yeah.
And a lot of things, like they get to the what color shades do I want or what size windows. There's no question about a basement foundation, whether that should be functional or not.
But
what color it should be, that's not really an issue.
The problem is it's something that people don't see.
Well said,
It's underground.
Yeah.
You know, what sells a house? How it looks. What your paint color, what your cabinets, you know, what your rooms, what your carpet, what your flooring. They don't pay attention to the base of what everything's sitting on.
What everything's sitting on, everybody, write that one down. We do get our pencil out periodically. Scott, I didn't tell you all the long discussion. I didn't explain the pencil, but that is, you make a great point. I'm going to tell people to write it down. And you'll remember it because I use the giant pencil. I bought this at the gas station. I'm not even joking. Up the street from my house. But write that down. How important is it? People will overlook that and be, hey, hopefully they don't notice the fact that we've got a crack over here or a water leak over there. Well, they're going to notice because they're going to get an inspection. And if you don't take care of that before, now you just cause a delay in the sale of the house, more expensive repairs, a lot of things that just address these things early on.
Yes, yes. Even during the construction, you know, when the house is built, the first thing you do is dig a hole, pour the footing, pour the walls, then they go up with it. So what you put into the foundation is what's going to hold everything down the road.
Yeah, I mean, everything sits on top of that. We talked about, my little intro that I came up with was, it's important to have a great foundation no matter what you're talking about. Whether the foundation is like a literal thing in your mind, you know, with regard to, like, we had to write the top 10 points we want to talk about. Well, that was the foundation for your article, if you will.
Yeah.
But in life, you got to have those foundations. And for a house, kind of a no-brainer. But how many people skimp on that?
Yeah.
And then they end up coming back with much bigger problems. Because you could end up with a house. I know we were talking about this earlier. A house can be condemned based on the fact that they figure out, the inspector comes through and says, this can't support the structure that's on top of it because they've let it now dilapidate. As water continues to erode, you start to have walls crumbling and can't support the structure on top of it.
One way to think about it, if you go into the cities and you see all the high-rise buildings. What are they sitting on?
Some cement concrete foundation.
A foundation.
Right.
You know, so your house is just like those. If you don't put a good enough one under it, it could cost you down the road.
And it is a lot cheaper. I knew about this background business a little bit because of my neighbor, one of my best friends' dad, Joe. How you doing, Joe Junior, Joe Senior? Literally, I got to understand how important a foundation is to the whole structure of a house.
Yeah,
and it kind of makes sense, but just something gets overlooked. I think you're right. Obviously, people overlook that because they don't see it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not right in front of them until they see the water there consistently, and then they're still like, "Oh, it's not that bad."
You know,
a lot worse
they walk downstairs after it rains and they're walking in water and they go, "Oh, shoot."
That's not good.
No.
Well, tell me a little bit. How did you get into this? You've been doing this for 19 years. You got a construction background too, so that kind of ties into this. I was joking with Scott earlier. I said, "I'm guessing you're going to be." He's 50, because you couldn't. Because when you said you were starting, you don't look that old, but when you said you've been doing something for 35 years, I'm like, did you start this when you were 15? Because that 15 plus 35 is 50. No. Quick math. You're a little bit older than that, but you long history and then 19 years doing this. For PEP.
I went to work for a friend of mine that started the company, him and his wife, and he was after me because he knew I like to help people, and always said if I'm going to help people, it's got to be with something I believe in. And he showed me what they did, and I'm like, wow, this works, and I believe in it, and I like what you're doing. So I went to work for him and his wife. Best thing ever did. I mean, just ultimately the best thing I ever did. One thing that was hard, him and his wife started the company, and he passed away in a tragic tractor accident, and the wife kept it going. And I'm glad she did, because what we have done has affected a lot of people.
And well, especially we're talking about a foundation, and when you're getting into like what you need to do with regard to making sure that the homes and houses that people like, literally, this is the most valuable asset they'll own, and they're going to continue to raise their family in it. You want to make sure that this thing doesn't become a bankrupt situation where they say we're going to condemn the house. Foundations are so critical to that. You're helping people keep that number one asset, because so often people will pass it on to the next generation, or they'll sell it for, from a house that they bought for $50,000 is now worth $500,000 or $250,000. Great resource for them to have the funds to help the family.
It's funny you say that, because you know how many I'm going to say elderly people I do bids for, and I give them a price, and I'm like, I'll let my kids worry about it. I'm gonna go to Europe or something with this money.
Well, yeah, and that's just passing the buck, but ultimately that will have to be dealt with, and at least the kids, and they may see that, but either way, it's something that will have to be addressed.
Yeah. Yep.
Very important. Well, all right, so the business has been, how long has this company actually been in business?
I've been with them 19 years. I think either 23 or 24 years they've been in business.
Yeah, well, that's something like when you get any businesses over 10, then they say these are experts. But when you got 20, 25, you're talking like they're talking like next generational transfer to the next group.
Yeah.
And obviously you've helped with that, because sadly one of the founder of the company went to heaven, but it's good. It's nice that they had somebody they can count on to help run it. And how long have you been running the company now, would you say? With
19 years.
So you've actually been running it.
Well, no, I'm sorry. 12, 13 years. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. When you started, you were helping run it, but now you really took over then at about 7 years in. After that. Interesting. All right, that's cool. Well, I appreciate you doing what you can to help this businesses sustain themselves, because how often is it we run into a hurdle in life, and then we got to figure out what happens. That's a big hurdle when the founder goes to heaven unexpectedly. And I have to hear about the accident, but we all sadly will deal with something like that in life very often. But sounds like you helped to sustain this. I want to talk a little bit about the reviews that you have. You've got a lot of people out there that say nice things about you, and you guys took the time to actually put some of those up on your website. And that's cool, because now you can do the Google search. They've got the BBB and some reviews out there, but right here on the website, everybody, if you take a look, right here on the wall, I'm going to put those up. Wow. Crawl space, crawl space, crawl space, crawl space. This is where basement waterproofing, foundation repair. Excellent job. Your whole staff was very professional. When we got the first couple prices to fix our sinking home. We were sick. We feel very lucky that our neighbor had used your company when they had their foundation support piers installed, and told us about your company. We appreciate your help. That's pretty cool. There's a lot more to be read there, but how does that make you feel to have people saying so many pages of nice things about you guys?
That makes you feel good. I mean, and like I said, anytime we can help somebody, and it's great, and it's happy. When you walk away from the house, you want to be happy. Because when you walk away from the house after you've worked on it, guess what? They can't see what you've done.
Yeah. This is a little one of those kind of hidden
yes.
services. Like, it's under the ground, it's down in the basement, and you don't appreciate it until when next time they go. It might even be something they may never know, but I can imagine when selling houses, I've done a lot of mortgage work, real estate work. They go, somebody did a lot of work here, because they can tell where they've done the repair that keeps it from being the damage it could have been. Or you can see if they haven't done the repair.
Yep.
And you can see the water coming through and those things that cause problems. All right, everybody, we're going to take a quick break to share with you some of the fun we've been working on in the community. Check out one of our visits we paid here to a local group helping kids through boxing. Knows, but he doesn't like people to know. You're behind this thing for years now. Yeah. Scoot Calvin's sitting here with me. How long have you been doing this whole boxing thing for kids?
It's our 5th year. As of last week, 5 years.
5 years. Mm-hmm. Another huge event today. Mm-hmm. You get to see everybody here. You have some of the best boxers in the area. Mm-hmm. Roberto Duran.
All the way from Panama, and it's his birthday.
And it's his birthday. Alexander the Great.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Alexander is one of the best boxers in the history of St. Louis.
Yes, sir. 3-time champion.
And I know that Michael Spinks has been involved.
Michael Spinks would have been here, but they got sick, so they had to take Miss Flo to the hospital. Get well, Miss Flo.
And I understand that, but I was at the last event, and he was here. Buster Douglas. You got some other superstars coming out that people are familiar with. Are you allowed to say those right now?
Yes, sir.
Tell us a couple of those names of people you know they're going to be here coming soon.
Coming soon. Actually, we supposed to had Evander Holyfield in the building, but scheduling conflict, so he would be here next week to bless Dalewood at our Juneteenth event next Thursday. So next week, Evander Holyfield will be in the building.
So the point is, you are really connected. You've taken your connections and tried to make an awesome program for kids.
Yes.
That as I've talked to these kids, they really enjoy this. What do you think the kids benefit most from by being part of your boxing program?
Benefit the most is that they get to have fun, discipline. They get to win them beautiful belts, and they get to stay out of trouble.
There you go. I can tell you, I see these kids, they light up when they get the opportunity. And even whether they win or they lose, you can tell they're excited to be part of this.
Oh, yeah.
Do you think it really helps them develop as young men?
Yes.
Learning skills for life?
Yes, sir. You got to take the good with the bad. And like Tawan just said, he lost his first fight. That was 4 years ago. He haven't lost since then. He haven't lost in 4 years because he learned from his mistake. And we try to teach them win, lose, or draw. We got y'all back.
Well, great support you've got here. An awesome program. See all the guys that have been involved. And I was fortunate to be involved with the last one. I want to come up here and catch some of the excitement and talk to the kids after the fights. And keep up the good work, sir.
Thank you so much.
Scoot Calvin, everybody.
Cowboy.
We'll be back.
Yes, sir.
His name is Carter Rethwich, but in St. Louis, he's known as the Cardinal Cowboy. He's a well-known fixture in the stands at sporting events in the Gateway City. He's one of its greatest cheerleaders, a super fan like no other. When he makes his rounds at almost every home game, he shares his love for sports with the rest of fandom with a smile, a cheer, some positive encouragement, and lots of selfies and pics. But the Cardinal Cowboy was born of a tragic incident. Rethwich was an aspiring athlete in high school and college. He dreamed of playing in the big leagues, but those dreams ended when he and 3 of his college friends were hit with a devastating crash by a 5-time drunk driver. One of his best friends died. Carter suffered a critical head injury. The trauma put him in a coma for 6 days. The doctors said he was never expected to function again. Those expectations never came true. He fought back and finished college. He was determined to prove the doctors wrong. Among other inspirations, it was his love of baseball that kept him going. And from his near-death experience, the Cardinal Cowboy emerged. His goal in life became to inspire others with positivity despite the odds, to help people believe in themselves and achieve their dreams.
So after my coma, I realized that it was up to me if I was going to accomplish my goals, if I was going to reach my dreams. Despite what the naysayers would say, the people that were discouraging me, like they do everyone, it's up to me if I'm going to make it. Don't listen to the naysayers. It's up to you. You decide whether you're going to succeed, whether you're going to reach your goals. Dream, and then always, always chase your dreams. Never give up. Giddy up. Hey everybody, Cardinal Cowboy here. I want to invite all of you to be part of my new team. No, you don't have to put on a baseball uniform and be a super fan. Now, it would be a good idea to cheer for the Cardinals, the greatest team in the history of the National League. But I'm talking about the Gold Cowboy team. You know, I love to help people follow their dreams and reach their goals in business and in life. So that's one of the reasons why I'm telling you about my friends at My Metal Pro. They help people like you and I acquire gold and silver with a membership that lets you safely buy, sell, and store gold and silver. They make it real easy to get started. My Metal Pro isn't like the big guys you see on network TV or the big coin shops that take a huge commission. So become part of my Gold Cowboy team. Scan the QR code or go to goldcowboy.com and check it out. Giddy up! Well, there we go. Nice little word from some of our sponsors. We appreciate those companies that are putting their support behind us, because without those businesses and those companies, we couldn't get the word out there. And the word has got to get out there. I believe I'm a big proponent that if you don't tell somebody, it's your own fault, because your responsibility is to make sure people understand. And I just realized a lot of small businesses, they don't even know where to start. And after I figured out how to produce a TV show in a secret location with much less cost than most people may realize, and it could look very good and help people really gain the credibility, that's when we decided to take this thing. And now we've got people that fly in literally from around the country to be here on our show. So thank you, Scott, from driving up from Eldon, Missouri.
Well, thank you, Carter.
Now, do you say Eldon, Missouri, or do you say Eldon, Missouri?
Depends on which part of the state you're from.
That's what I say. If you're outside of the turnbelt, if you will, the Highway 270 goes around St. Louis. You go about 5 miles west, 5 miles east, 5 miles north, 5 miles south, it's Missouri. If you're inside of that area, it's Missouri. I don't know why they say Missouri, because it's an I on the end of Missouri. But it doesn't matter. We all have our dialects and the way we communicate, and either one works. So
Oh, yeah.
we appreciate that. All right, so driving up here from the lake, how long a drive was that for you to get up here?
About 2 hours. Traffic wasn't too bad on I-70.
Yeah, I was going to say, we go straight out Highway 70, go to Jeff City exit, go south, and go to the lake.
Yep.
I do that once a year, once every couple of years. I got friends that got big boats down there. It's better to have a friend with a big boat than to own a big boat.
Oh, you got that right.
I've owned the big boat too, and that's expensive also, but it's fun. But literally, not too far. You guys do service all of Missouri. Really.
Yeah.
So if it came down to it, and even if you had to go to Arkansas, not too far to go south to Arkansas, some of that.
We go down to Branson, Joplin, Carthage, down that area, but probably not going to go into Arkansas.
Okay, is that part of just the difference in the laws, or is it just the
I don't know. We don't have all the licensing
so the
for
license.
Arkansas, and it's
just a different game
yeah.
down there? You guys are focused on Missouri. Cool. Well, I just like the work that you've done. Now, we're going to show a little bit more on the website, because they've got a lot of detailed information here. Good looking, informative website. And I would recommend, let's put this video on the front of this page. This, I think, help people understand what you guys do. But we talked about a little cost analysis for people. What do you think it is about your organization that separates you from your competitors? We don't have to name any of them. We probably could guess at some of the names out there. I'm not sure off the top of my head too many of them, but it's kind of a niche thing you're doing here. There's not 500 companies that do foundation repair, but there's 10 or 15, I guess.
Oh yeah, there's some.
What separates you guys from the rest?
I'm going to say probably price more than anything. With not being a big company, we don't have the type of overhead that a lot of big companies do. With advertising, the types of insurance. The big one's probably advertising, to be honest with you, because the more you advertise, the more it costs.
Sure.
I mean, everybody gives free estimates, right?
Right.
Somebody's got to pay for those free estimates.
Right.
So the one job you get to do so much of that money has to be allotted to pay for all the other free estimates, the gas, the vehicle, the time.
Right. Yeah, I know. The people who advertise argue that they make up for it by volume. But by volume, then you also sometimes, the big real question then becomes the quality. Because are you dealing with the single in-house manager slash your title we put up on there? Let me make sure that pops up. Here, I can force it if I have to. There we go. Come on up, title. Systems, one more time.
Systems design
There we
specialist.
go. One more time. Systems design specialist. You're the guy who handles all the projects.
Yeah.
And so then you're the one that can be then responsible for everything that's done to the quality.
Yes.
And I don't mind the big guys. I don't know if there's big national companies that do what you do, but so often it seems, and again, nothing against them, it's just by volume. They can't have one dedicated engineer, if you will, designer at every location. So they're training somebody who then often has to train somebody who then gets 2 weeks of training and another guy coming out there and explaining to you, we're going to take care of this. You're more hands-on and you get to make those decisions live
Yeah.
for all your guests,
Yeah.
all your clients.
And you kind of hit a key word there, training. Training's great, works great, the whole 9 yards. But what are you training? How to build a house? Because in my opinion, you really need to know how the foundation is being put in and built and how to build a house before you can decide what's the best way or the best solution to help this customer out.
Yeah. Well, ultimately, it's the expertise that somebody brings to the table that we're all counting on.
Yeah.
Because anybody can be something else to touch on real quick here. We just got about 2 minutes left, and we'll touch on this for the first half hour. We're going to be here for another half hour with Scott because, hey, man, I figure if you're going to take the time to drive up here, let's knock this out. Let's do 2 28-minute interviews to really give everybody that full understanding so you can get an in-depth understand what it is that's at stake here, especially when we talk about these kinds of big issues. But there's a lot of people that will fall into the DIY, do it yourself, right? Something you may not want to dabble too much with when it comes to foundations. Do you run into people that try to do it themselves? And I guess at a certain level, the crack may be very small, and they think that they can have it. What are some of the risks they're taking by doing these things by themselves?
They think they know what they're doing.
Don't we all?
I mean, that's bottom line. I talked to Jimmy or Fred. He's been doing it for 30 years, and he said do this, and this person said do that. Well, is it actually right? If you want to make sure it's actually right, put a warranty with it. Now, if you're doing something on your own house and you're not worried about it, that's fine. But is it done right?
And even then, you get affected because when you try to sell that house or something else goes wrong, and the insurance company say this isn't covered because you didn't take the proper
That's
means,
correct.
and you get yourself in a lot of trouble there. All right, everybody, tune in for the second half hour. We're going to go over a lot more residential, commercial, and the big mistake people make. Might have touched on it a little bit, but tune into that second half hour coming up here in just a minute. We're going to start the recording here in just a second. Giddy up.